I'm back. For real this time. Like seriously, I'm back for real this time, alright? Let's get on with the review. Hi, I'm Danny Quinn, and welcome to another episode of First Impressions. On today's episode, Chadwick Boseman takes up the mantle of Black Panther in the latest addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the plot of this movie is that T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, has returned to his home nation of Wakanda after the death of his father in Captain America Civil War. He's crowned king but faces several challenges to his rule in the form of the notorious arms dealer Ulysses Claw, played by Andy Serkis, and the mysterious Eric Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, who seek to lay claim to T'Challa's throne. So Black Panther previously made a pretty prominent appearance in Captain America Civil War, in a role that was fairly obviously meant to set up a future solo movie, much like Wonder Woman's appearance in Batman v Superman and Spider-Man's appearance in the same movie. And he definitely was one of the main highlights of that movie. I was definitely quite excited to see where they were going to take his character in a solo movie. But you know what I wasn't expecting? Everyone else to be excited for this movie. But in the end, I can see why so many people are excited for this movie. In many respects, it's kinda like the MCU's answer to Wonder Woman. For many people, it's kind of an important film. Although there have been plenty of movies with black superheroes in them and many with black superheroes as the leads, it's probably one of the first comic book movies to have a predominantly black cast. And I can fully understand why a lot of people are going gaga about it, and now that I've seen it, I'm pretty happy to go gaga about it myself. Black Panther is yet another home run for the MCU that really demonstrates a studio and a franchise at the top of its game. I think one of the movie's main strengths is its confident writing and directing. Ryan Coogler, who previously helmed Fruitvale Station and Creed, helms this movie and he does a fantastic job. He brings a really unique energy to the film, and I also really like the world building in this film, as well as the setting of Wakanda itself. It's just this very beautiful and unique looking country that's like an amalgamation of all these different African cultures, but it's also a lot more advanced than it appears to be. It's a setting that's caught between the past and the future in a lot of ways. The use of advanced technology really suggests a country that's many generations ahead, while a lot of its core ideology suggests a country that's very much stuck in the past. And that does form a lot of the main conflict of this movie, especially since Wakanda puts up this pretense of being a third world country, when in actuality it's anything but, and it has all these resources that they could potentially share with the rest of the world. If anything, Black Panther is probably one of the most politically driven MCU movies to date, especially with its issues about isolationism and race. And I can definitely see a lot of comparisons being drawn between what happens in Wakanda and what's happening in the world right now. But at the same time, it never feels preachy or heavy-handed, as the film fully realises the arguments for and against Wakanda sharing its resources with the world, and never really forces you to pick a side. It allows you to decide for yourself what side is the more valid argument. But while Black Panther does have some political undertones, they're not at the forefront of the movie. At the heart of this film is Black Panther himself. Chadwick Boseman really made a strong impression on me in Civil War, and I think he really builds upon that potential here. In that film he was a very ruthless and intimidating presence, but in this film we get to see a much softer, a much more compassionate side to the character. Somebody who just wants the best for his people. He's described as a good man with a good heart, but that doesn't necessarily equate to a good leader, and the film is all about him having to prove that he has what it takes to become the king that Wakanda wants and needs. You can understand why T'Challa is torn between upholding tradition and revealing Wakanda's technological advances to the world, especially since it's raised up in the film that people could potentially get hold of their weapons and their resources and use them for their own personal gain, especially criminals, such as the case with Andy Serkis' Ulysses Claw, who previously appeared in Avengers Age of Ultron, and he's a much more prominent role in this film, as T'Challa sets out to find him and bring him to justice for his crimes against Wakanda. Serkis is fantastic here. He's a really entertaining and really funny presence, and you can tell that Serkis is really having a blast playing Claw. He just chews the scenery and really enjoys himself in the part, and enjoyment really rubs off on the audience. He's a real delight to watch in this film. But Michael B. Jordan really stands out in the role of Eric Killmonger, the main villain of the movie. Of course, this isn't the first time we've seen Michael B. Jordan in a Marvel-based movie. He was also in the really regrettable Fantastic Four movie that came out a couple of years back, and thankfully, just like Chris Evans before him, he really transitions into the MCU with a very solid role. His performance is both charismatic and intimidating in equal measures, and he's probably one of the best villains we've seen in an MCU film to date. That might not be saying much considering some of the past MCU villains, but he is legitimately excellent here as this mysterious stranger that really poses a genuine threat to T'Challa, and his motivations are actually quite understandable. He's not just some villain that's out to destroy the world because he can, he's just a guy who wants to do what he thinks is the right thing, even if his methods of doing so are really questionable. The film also has an excellent supporting cast that all do an outstanding job. Lupita Nyong and Danai Gurira, I apologise for mispronouncing that name. They both do a solid job as Black Panther's companions Nakia and Okoye. Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett both do a fairly good job, even if they do kind of fade into the background for much of the movie. Martin Freeman as Everett Ross makes for a surprisingly entertaining fish-out-of-water character. Daniel Kaluuya impresses as W'Kabi, Black Panther's conflicted ally. But out of the huge supporting cast, I think it's Letitia Wright as Shuri who easily makes the strongest impression. She easily steals her show. She's funny and charming, and her scenes with T'Challa are some of the funniest and most heartwarming in the film. But she also proves herself to be very capable in the action scenes, and isn't just some funny comic relief. And I can see why so many fans have already grown to like this character. Speaking of the action, it's very good for the most part. The car chase throughout Seoul is probably one of the main highlights of the movie. It's very entertaining, and the filmmakers really do get a lot of creative use out of Black Panther and his comrades using these cars that Shuri remote controls. It's a pretty fun and imaginative set piece with some great stunt work and visuals. And the fight scenes are also very well done too, even if there is a little bit too much shaky cam and quick cutting. Not nearly as bad as certain other films that abuse those techniques, but it does kind of stick out in places. That and a certain fight scene reminded me a little bit too much of the Neo Smith fights from the Matrix sequels. But in addition to that, some of the characters do feel a little bit underutilised. Most of them are very entertaining and very engaging presences, and I think it's a bit of a shame that some of them aren't used as much as they probably could be. Andy Serkis's claw especially bears the brunt of this. What is it with Andy Serkis and his appearance in Disney movie franchises? It seems like the poor guy just can't get a break. But then you also have the likes of Forrest Whitaker, who's just there to be sort of like a mentor figure to T'Challa, and he doesn't really factor into the movie outside of a few crucial scenes. And then you also have Angela Bassett as T'Challa's mother, who's just sort of there. She just sort of fades in and out in the movie a lot of the time, and she's just mostly a background character at best. But aside from that, and the film's usage of a certain cliche that I really can't stand, but I can't really elaborate on because it's going into spoiler territory, I had a blast with Black Panther. It's another solid addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that might rank as one of their best movies. It jettisons a lot of the tongue-in-cheek and more out-there elements of the previous MCU films in favour of a much more grounded and down-to-earth story. It works brilliantly as a standalone movie and as part of the overarching MCU. Chadwick Boseman really impresses in the lead role, and the supporting cast are all very entertaining in their own rights. While Coogler delivers a visually stunning and exciting movie that's filled with a lot of action, drama and hearts. So on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 meaning absolute irredeemable shits, and 10 meaning an outstanding flawless masterpiece, I'm gonna give Black Panther an 8 out of 10. If you're a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's a very well made and engaging movie that's really worth seeing, especially if you're a Marvel fan. So Black Panther, have you seen it yet? If so, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like or a comment or both, and maybe even subscribe to my channel while you're at it. I'd really appreciate that as well. And if there's anything I can do to improve my presentation, do let me know. I'm always happy to hear feedback. I can also be found on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and I can also be emailed via the links below. And until next time, I'm Danny Quinn, and I hope you have a pleasant evening.